What's up, folks? We're back at it again. Another. Just starting off with a complete tongue twister. Unbelievable. I'm fired. Another episode of the number one podcast in motocross, the Moto Academy podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We've been posting full episodes on YouTube now, I think. I don't know what's going on half the time. Full episodes for sure inside of the Moto Academy app. Today, we are going to talk about and answer all of your questions. If you want to ask questions, get inside the Moto Academy app. Go to themotoacademy.com, subscribe. We got the community for only $9.99 a month. Almost through it. We've got the courses for $19.99 a month. That also includes the community. Then we have the mastermind, where you guys can be a part of a mastermind where we try to level up in everything: business, life, sport, absolutely everything. So today we're just gonna dive right into questions. I'm gonna waste no time because we have so many. Thank you guys, by the way. Make sure if you're posting, I'm pretty sure no matter where you post inside the community feed, that if you just use the hashtag podcast questions, that's how I'm going to be able to find it. I recorded an episode yesterday, which would probably have aired earlier this week, and kind of got you guys caught up a little bit on what my travel has looked like lately, what we've been up to, and all of that good stuff. So I'll skip over that because I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing me talk about myself. But we're gonna just dive right in, and we're gonna start with, I don't choose favorites. I love all Moto Academy members equally, but this is my favorite Moto Academy member.
Hey, Real GP here, and I've got a podcast question for you. Ali and AJ, what are your favorite guilty pleasure hobbies? And I'm talking anything non-moto related, non-fitness or personal improvement related. So like karaoke duets with JCav, Pokemon Go. What is it? The only motor related answer I'll accept is woods riding with Kenny C18. Have a good day, guys.
Shout out Real GP. Shout out Kenny C18. I would love to hear Allie's answer to that question, although I think I know some of her answers. How the heck do I get out of this? Don't know how to use my own app. Okay, there we go. My answer to this might be a problem. I don't have any. Off the top of my head, I guess going to get coffee is definitely our favorite pastime, and that's like a me, Allie, and Millie thing. We do that pretty much every single day, and that doesn't have anything to do with self-improvement or motocross, so I'm going to go with that. Because other than that, most of what I do either involves my business or dirt bikes in some way, shape, or form. You know, even if it's cold plunging or hiking, that's kind of fitness, but hiking. We hike every day. So that's definitely one. Used to be road biking, but that was definitely for fitness. What the heck else? A lot of nature things. Going to the beach. We like to drive around and look at houses. That's definitely a big one. Like, we're huge into just driving around and looking at properties and houses for no real reason. We just like to draw inspiration from different places, and kind of, it's funny how our taste has changed over time too. We kind of went from being sort of like city people to now liking the quaint kind of like cottage vibe house with cool landscaping. And I never used to do that when I was young, but Allie said that like when she was little, she would just hop in the car on Sunday with her mom and dad, and that's what they all did as a family. And when she was little, she said that she used to pull up Zillow listings and always show her mom and dad and try to convince them of why they should go live in that house. Which is funny because that's basically what we do now, is we just dream about where we want to live, what we want to make our house like. We're both big into that. So yeah, that's my answer. Good question, Real GP. Oh, just as I say, he's my favorite. That was my favorite Moto Academy member. We have my favorite Moto Academy member. These are AJ and Alley Cat questions potentially, but let's see.
Hi, Jane Alley. Hi, guys. Tilly's getting her first bike, and I'm just wondering, what is the best way I can help her? Thank you. Hi, Jane
Alley. What's up, Shakin' Blake? And Shakin' Blake's little sis. Getting her first bike. So, Shake and Blake, you've got all the information, my man. Just keep it simple. That's the biggest thing. Remember that when you're teaching, and this applies to anybody, this is good advice for anybody. When you're teaching somebody something, it is very easy to get lost in wanting to hear yourself talk and just continuing on with what could be a simple topic. Keep it short, even as I'm giving this explanation to that question. Keep it short, keep it sweet, and simplify. Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes and just imagine all of the things that are going through their head, how confused that they might be. Keep it simple, keep it short. Truly, that is sort of my teaching method with all of Moto Academy, right? That's how I designed the curriculum, to really just simplify, take away extra things, leave the feet on the pegs, stand up a lot, simplify. There you go. And I'm going to stop the answer right there before I complicate my answer and contradict myself. Good question, Shake and Blake. You're capable of it. You got the information. Love it. We're just ripping right through these. Absolutely ripping through them. So these are all going to be video ones to start. Oh, no, they're not. Just kidding. Wish I had a water down here. Mo Money. Just met Mo Money at a class at 508. Why do I feel like I just said that recently? Let's make sure I didn't answer this question yet. Allie's liked it. So that means I've answered it. Just kidding, Mo Money. Oh, man. Here we go. Don't think I've answered this one. Okay. Shout out Fat Header. Another video question. That's not a video question. Just in an old tractor and saying it's alive. Okay. Also wrote underneath that. Do you ever, when talking to somebody, recognize the trap they are struggling with and blurt out your own association word for a particular trap? Example, thinking into the future or identifying with their past, etc. And not shut down the other person. Do you ever, when talking to somebody, recognize the trap they're struggling with and blurt out your own association worth? So if I understand this question correctly, I think that you're asking if I kind of get ahead of myself when somebody's talking themselves through a problem or asking my advice and I feel as though I might know the answer quickly. Do I just blurt out some type of solution? Everything in me wants to blurt out some type of solution, or an association word is what he's using the term. But I really try to just listen the best I can, which is something that I try and practice. And I know everybody kind of needs to work on that in some capacity or another. My best to just listen. And then when they're done, then I can give the advice the best I can. But I also try not to, if it's not a direct conversation and somebody asking for advice, I try not to deliver advice unsolicited. Because I don't want to overstep. I don't want to annoy people. And yeah, so I really just try to listen. I'm usually, if it's a one-on-one, or believe it or not, because I am in this app very much vocal and kind of, I don't want to call it preaching, but I'm doing the podcast. You guys are listening to me. I'm hosting live streams. I'm hosting these things, right? So I'm sort of the leader. But in social environments, who left a coffee over there? Son of a gun, Allie. There's a coffee right next to the chair. It's probably been there for weeks. Unreal. In social environments, small group settings, large group settings, I'm usually the quiet listener and I'll just kind of take it in. And if somebody asks for advice, I will certainly give it or give my perspective. And that's kind of it. Yeah, I find myself being quiet in social environments and not sort of just blurting things out to try and help people. I'm just really self-aware when it comes to that. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but all right, next question. I just died, but I'm back. I'm alive. We're still kicking. We're still here. The way that Allie does this, the reason this is so difficult for me right now is because the only way that these are marked as read and answered is Allie likes them, and sometimes I can't see her like right away. Now we've got the rest of them here. Screenshot. This should be pretty easy. Okay, here we go. Steve Goodwin asked, rarely get to ride MX. What can I practice on my mountain bike or my street motorcycle? Good question. And this is something that I would do often, is I would focus on hand position. So whether you're on a bicycle or a bike on the street, a Harley or a street bike, definitely more practical because you're more upright in the dirt bike position. A Harley, you're kind of squatted down into it. I don't know really what you could practice there that would transfer over other than throttle control and clutch control, but hand position. So trying to go more from, that death grip, hands all the way up against the grip donuts, to opening up the grip more into that diamond, that triangle grip, creating that space in between her pointer finger and thumb, really rotating the hands out to pop out the elbows and to square the upper body up. Really can practice this like anytime you're going downhill or pushing away from the handlebars on the mountain bike. And you can certainly do the same thing on more of an upright, like an open fairing, no fairing, what the heck are they called? Street bike, something, like I said, a little bit more upright, supermoto bike. Yeah. And that will start to build muscle memory without a doubt. Just turning the hands. That I've explained this before, but for me, I'm conscious often when I'm on the bike of just one thing at a time. And I've explained this in the woods or on the track, where when I get from section to section, I know based on past experience in that section where my focus needs to be. And so it will shift throughout a moto. And it would do the same probably on the street too. But yeah, squaring up those hands. Steve, good question. Okay, moving on. We're just ripping and dipping through these things. Fat Header asks, best approach back to riding after being released from an injury. I know you probably have already given feedback before, but the more you hear it, the more it becomes ingrained. Good day, TMA family. Thanks, Fat Header. And that's very true. And that's why I'm going to answer this question again, although I already have a whole bunch of times. First of all, when you're hurt, when you're spending time off the bike, use that time to study and watch the footage. Get inside the app, learn and download as much information as you possibly can, and then go on YouTube and just pop on old races and watch people that you want to look like. The best person to watch right now by far would be Jet. I mean, there's not even, the only person close to that would be Hunter's a great one to watch. Jet's a little more obvious because his height, he's a bit taller, so the movements he's making are easier to see, I think. And the mistakes when he makes them are usually easier to see. So Jet's a good person to watch, to learn, and just download the information. You will be amazed at how much you will start to kind of download subconsciously. So when you do get on the bike, it's like, whoa, all right, how did I get better in all this time off? I had a live stream last night inside the Moto Academy community, and we had Daniel Blair on as a guest. And I said, Daniel, I just saw a video of you riding the Supercross track a couple of weeks ago, and you looked amazing. And he goes, AJ, I took 10 years off, hadn't touched a bike in 10 years, and I'll pop on a Supercross track, and I felt better than I ever have in my life. That's the proof right there, right? Daniel has spent 10 years announcing, being down on the track, watching the best in the world, being at the training facility and working day to day with these riders, constantly, I'm sure, studying media and the footage. Whether he was realizing he was studying it for his sake or not, that information was being downloaded. So 10 years later, he hops on a bike. And yes, although the on-the-bike fitness, I'm sure, has gone away, his technique has actually improved. It's amazing. So you use injury and that time off the bike as an opportunity. So many people get kind of depressed and really discouraged when they get hurt, but it's an opportunity. If you're off the bike for 3 months or for 6 months or for a year, huge opportunity. The more time off the bike, the bigger the opportunity it is. Think of it that way. And when you get back on the bike, long-winded answer here, when you get back on the bike, Be strategic, because that is your time to implement everything that you learned while you're off the bike and try to make change and form new habits. And that starts with as soon as those tires touch the dirt. Do not throw yourself into a tempting environment to where you risk that, right? And what I mean by that is don't go race right away. Don't show up to a track with 40 other people out there, busy practice weekend, or if there's a few hundred people at the track. Ideally, and any pro hopefully would do this, is the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks on the bike, go to an open field, go to a corner track where it's just you, go to a oval track, a figure eight, ride in a circle. Simplify as much as you can and practice the drills that I would teach would be stand up only, one hand drill, feet on the pegs drill, circulate and rotate directions, short sets even. You could do 3 to 5 minutes, especially if the track is really, really short, like if it's a 5-second lap time, right? You would be amazed at how you can start to change as a rider and form those new habits as soon as you get back on the bike. Then when you bring yourself to an environment with a lot more variables, we can transfer the good habits and all those new habits. And yeah, hopefully that makes sense, but crazy, crazy important to do that. And what an opportunity it is when you're coming back from being hurt. Okay. Mind Moto. Do you think people see you how you see yourself? I'm struggling recently to recognize the significant and insignificance in my mind, learning to see what is worth my energy and what isn't. I'm rebuilding my life following a breakdown, and I have a lifetime of unhealthy thought processes to adapt and realign. Good question. I have noticed, Mind Moto, the last couple of questions that you've asked have had to do with other people. So catch yourself in those moments. Now, you don't want to be sociopathic to the point where like other people are never thought about and there's no empathy, of course, but you don't want to, like that question, for example, do you think people see you how you see yourself? Although maybe that's a good question to kind of, look through the lens of, am I acting with integrity and am I doing the right thing? But you know the answer to that. Ask yourself the right questions and you know the answer. I don't think you have to concern yourself with other people. I think that people are going to look at you how they feel about themselves, right? So I don't care if you're acting completely perfect, if you're doing all the right things, or maybe you're doing all the wrong things. If you line up 100 people, you're going to get 100 really, really subjective answers to however they're feeling about themselves at that given moment, right? And that's a good thing to remind yourself too. Anytime you have conflict or, even not conflict, even just relationships, and when you talk to people, it's always them. That's a dangerous way to think sometimes because you don't want to pass. It's always them and it's always you, if that makes any sense at all. It's always them and it's always you. The way that you see things, how you go about your day, whether you're judging this as good or judging this thing as bad, you're judging the conversation, you're reading the text message and how you're reading their tone based on how you're feeling. That's all you. Right? And you can control that, and only you can control that. When you're receiving information, when you're receiving conversation, having conversations with people, or relationships are happening, and you're at work and something's happening with an employee or an employer, a lot of that is them. And you always reflect on that. Like, don't take it personally, because it's what they have going on in their lives, and what if they had an argument with their wife before they came to work that morning. You never know. Same thing in traffic. You get cut off in traffic. Like, you don't know. You can't judge that other person. You can't judge the situation. Just that person, their mom could have died an hour ago, and they could be rushing to get to the scene of the crime. Just making up a full-blown story now. Rushing to get to the scene of the crime. Their mom just died. It was a crime. Wasn't natural causes. It was a crime. And you're merging, and they don't let you go. And you think they're an a-hole, but really they just really need that one extra spot because they're trying to get to the scene of the crime. So you just can't judge it, Mind Moto. And we're going to end it with that because, just really creating the visual there for you. Andy Shear. How many we got left? 1, 2, 3. We only got 3 left, so bear with me. This is going to be the world's shortest podcast, and you guys will have to let me know. Do you like short episodes? I probably would because time's limited nowadays. Andy Shear. Oh, nope, just kidding. That's a question for Allie. Tanner222. Ooh, new username now, addition to it. 222/220. Shout out, Tanner. Hopefully see you at a class here in New York or the Northeast this summer. Crosswinds blowing my bike out from under me. Doesn't even ask it in question form. Just crosswinds blowing my bike out from under me, ! Tanner, don't worry. I'm here to save you. If it's windy, what do? Keep the bike on the ground, for gosh sakes. Keep the bike on the ground. Don't jump. I'm kidding, but I'm also serious. What happens is if you're getting... Okay, I have some really good advice. If it's windy, look at things. Is there a tree nearby? Is there a flag blowing? Best case situation. Is there tough black that's flapping in the breeze? Are there some blades of grass? Try to find things as reference points to figure out which way is this wind blowing. That's definitely, step number 1. When you can figure out which way the wind is blowing, you can make proper calculations. So, and I didn't consciously realize I was doing this until track in Florida over the winter. It seemed to be windy every time I would go, but there were flags everywhere. So I was like, oh, this is easy. Each time I approached a big jump, I would just look at the flag. If it was blowing towards me, all right, well, let's hit this jump a little bit faster because I'm getting a headwind. If it's blowing away from me or with me, then, well, let's hit this jump a little slower because that wind's going to carry me a bit further this time. If I'm getting a crosswind, then I would assess like, all right, is it blowing pretty strong? Do I feel safe? Am I confident on this specific jump? And when I get a crosswind, the easiest way for me is I whip into the wind. So if the wind were coming from my right shoulder, I would be whipping throttle side down. So do that visual. Wind is coming from my right shoulder going across to my left, from right to left. I'm going to whip throttle side towards the ground. And what that does is allows the wind to carry my bike out, and then it naturally comes back as it would. And it feels pretty safe. Now, I do not recommend that for most people because you have to be really, really comfortable doing whips. And there's very few people I see comfortable doing whips out there. So unless you're a whip master and you've got them completely dialed, ultimately you've just got to keep those wheels as close to the ground as possible because the wind, it doesn't pitch the bike sideways. It carries the wheels out from under you and it sends you into a barrel roll. So be careful. Be careful. Good question. Oh, we're already at the last one. For gosh sakes, this really is going to be the world's shortest podcast. Loki Hampson. He's got 2 questions. It's a 2-parter, and I think that they are completely unrelated. So part 1, question 1. If you could ask anyone in history one question about anything, who and what would you ask? Oh boy. That... For some reason, just as I read that just now, I thought of Albert Einstein. But I didn't have a question in mind when I thought Albert Einstein. So actually, the first thing I just thought of Albert Einstein, and maybe I would ask like, why are we here? Or what's the point? That would probably be that's what's on my mind at the moment. I could take that. That's a great question. That's very thought-provoking. But yeah, at the moment, I just read something by Albert Einstein last night. So he must be just fresh in my mind at the moment. He's also in a lot of things that I read. My name is Albert. So we could bond on that. And that's my goal. He's my goals for when I'm older. I just want to have like a crazy gray hair, sort of like Rick Rubin. gray facial hair, just crazy gray hair that never gets controlled, and it's just absolutely everywhere. So yeah, Albert Einstein, and I would ask him, what's the point? What's the point of it all? I think I know what he would say, but I'd be curious. Question 2, completely unrelated. If you could only build and ride one track for the rest of your life, what would it look like and why? Ooh, that's a good question. If I could only build one track, what would it look like and why? All right, well, I've thought of this 1,000,001 times over, and I can't wait to build it. The problem is, not many people would be able to ride it, I don't think. So I kind of have 2 answers to that. One, I'm not going to describe in length because it excites me slightly less. I shouldn't say that. It's still very exciting. Is the dream track build for the Moto Academy community. So a track that everybody can ride. I have some really amazing ideas for that, some of which are actually still kind of top secret, and a track layout and a way to build something that's never ever been done and can be fun, the highest level of fun and safe for me, for Eli Tomac, for Jet Lawrence, and for somebody that's just pretty much learning how to ride a dirt bike or experiencing a track for the first time. I think that there's a lot of ideas left on the table and a lot of things that, I'm super excited. I don't want to give away any secrets though. So we got that. Then we've got the track that I would build for me, just for me. What would we have on that track? We would definitely have a few of the biggest jumps you've ever seen in your life, without a doubt. With big landings. So if maybe I got arm pump one lap, or maybe I just, have a brain fart and go a little too hard or a little too soft, I'm not going to kill myself, but just something massive. Like, let's say I'd want a good 3rd gear wide open whip jump on a 450. So 3rd gear wide open whip jump, not often that you get that on a track. Usually they're much smaller than that. And by whip jump, I'm talking yanking that thing. So you're preloading. 3rd gear, yanking it, preload, whip jump. I want a couple of those. And on those ones, it'd be pretty fun too to have a ramp option next to it. So I would guess that it'd probably be in the 120 to 150 range lengthwise, probably 120, I think would be fair. And 120 ramp to dirt hits, I'm pretty sure a 3rd gear pretty hard on it as well. So that would be appropriate. Definitely want a few of those. What else? I want like St. Louis, Missouri type of dirt. No rocks, good moisture, but not like riding in Germany Supercross where it's like riding on glue. You don't want that. But I want like St. Louis Supercross type of dirt. I think everybody could agree with that. So we got some, let's see, what else? What else do we want? Step ups are fun. Don't give me any step downs. I don't want a single step down on my track. They're not fun. Do you guys agree with me or am I crazy? Step downs, not a fan. Step ups, sure, definitely. Give me some massive step ups. Give me a hip jump. Give me something give me a step up that you hip it completely 90 degrees to the right for some reason. And maybe the track option, that would be cool. So maybe there's a giant step up and this is the option. Hip it to the right, joker lane of some sort. Jump it straight, rollers in it continues straight. Jump it left, some other type of joker lane. So you've got like a 3-way split and you can mix it up. You could practice hipping it to the left, hipping it to the right. You got different sections, or you could just jump it straight and you got a nice set of rollers. What are some other fun track features? Something like a 353, but motocross style. So something that you can maybe jump up to the top and tire tap or kind of scrub and wheelie over the top. Something that you can tire tap. That's definitely necessary. I love tire tapping. I love doing like little scrub wheelies, things like that. What else do we want? I was on a roll there for a second. This would be a good conversation to have with another rider because you just bounce it back and forth and back and forth. On-offs are wicked fun. Not like a full-blown supercross on off necessarily, but something that feels like a step on, step off. Maybe something that's forgiving enough to where it's fun to be able to like scrub on, wheelie all the way across it, and then jump off. But like to make that super fun, I'd want it to be pretty high up. So maybe coming out of like a tight corner, seat bounce to get on. So it's a big step up to get up onto it, drive across the top, and then jump way, way, way down into a steep landing, maybe right back into some switchbacks. So not full-blown supercross style, but still like the tightest part of the track and where it's technical and where you got to pop up on. That would be fun. Yeah, we'll leave it at that because, geez Louise, I could talk all day on fun track layouts. Okay, guys, the 30-minute podcast. Let me know. Do you like it when AJ only talks for 30 minutes? Maybe our commute's 30 minutes to work. Maybe we're hopping on the treadmill for 30 minutes and getting a 30-minute gym session in. Let me know what you guys think. Check out the tour dates. I was supposed to say that at the beginning. Gosh darn it. That's how I'm supposed to open up each podcast. But we have Coach Mitchell and I are dividing and conquering, and we are going everywhere. I'm talking everywhere. We're doing international tours. Myself and Coach Mitchell will be going international with it and all over the US. So if you guys haven't seen a class near you recently and you're interested in going, go to themotoacademy.com, check out the tour page and all of the tour dates that we have, because and we're adding dates every 3 days. So get on there, keep checking it. Go on Instagram, go on Facebook, get inside the Moto Academy app. If you're anywhere on social media, you should be. With how much content we're putting out there, Moto Academy should be in your face somewhere. Oopsie daisy, we're everywhere. But that's how we're doing it. The goal is to make sure that if you are into dirt bikes, even kinda, sorta, that when you go on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, the Moto Academy app, we aren't on Twitter for some reason. We're not on LinkedIn for some reason, but we are absolutely everywhere else. The goal was to make it so if you go on there, you're going to see us, whether you like it or not, because that's how much content we're doing. We're doing good quality content, educational content that I think really adds value to the community, which I'm grateful to be able to do. And yeah. We've got tour dates. We've got summer camp. If you want to spend a full week with me in the Moto Academy team in Jackson for some reason, we've got mastering the basics. Shout out Coach Mitchell. Those classes will be for riders that are brand new to the moto track, or riders that want a complete technique reset. So like a lot of that time will be spent bike on the stand, theory talk, going, cone drills, flat surface drills, balance drills. Very basic drills. A lot of people need that. Those will be the mastering the basics classes. So check those out as well. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. Love you, Moto Academy. #1 podcast in motocross, the Moto Academy podcast. Toodaloo.